Good afternoon, Mr. President and distinguished guests. My name is Ann Fundner.
Oh, hold that. Come here. I'm going to hold.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm an angel parent. 1 year ago today, on July 16th, I stood in front of America and told the story of my son, Weston, at the RNC, and about how he was a beautiful, loving, had a wonderful life. We did everything right. But one pill, one mistake, given by a friend under peer pressure, took his life.
Today on Spin Room, a mother's fight after her son dies from fentanyl. She was there inside the White House as President Trump signed the Halt Fentanyl Act. Ann Fundner is joining us today, and she'll be telling her story. And that's coming up later in the show. Thank you so much for joining us on Spin Room today. I'm Vanessa Broussard. We'll have Ann's story in just a moment, plus reaction from Sheriff Richard Mack. But first, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt gave updates from the briefing room today, answering some hard-hitting questions. Let's go live to Washington, D.C. with Allison Steinberg. Allison, a lot came out of that meeting today.
Oh yeah, it was a busy briefing indeed. I don't think I've ever seen the briefing room so packed either. It was packed to the gills with all kinds of media in there. I don't know if it's all the new media that they're letting in now, but it's nice to see such a big turnout nonetheless. Caroline Leavitt opened with President Trump's schedule. He has trips planned to Scotland July 25th through 29th. He's going to be meeting with Prime Minister Starmer there, and then he'll be on to the UK September 17th through 19th with the First Lady, so that's something to look ahead to. Caroline Leavitt highlighted some economic news. She says the inflation crisis has been defeated, no inflation for the month of June, and core inflation came in better than expected at 2.1% overall. That was below economists' expectations. Not that they're really to be trusted, but it is looking really good. Gas, energy, hotels, public transportation, even produce is at a record low, so that is very exciting. President Trump also is announcing tariff revenues hitting a record high, generating $113 billion so far as a result of the tariffs. Private investments are pouring in, so this is very good news. Of course, as we know, so many people, Democrats namely, were so against the tariffs. On Liberation Day, they warned, oh no, this is going to be the end of America. We're going to enter a recession. Well, no, not true. Fake news. Tariffs have now generated $113 billion. So that's very exciting. As you touched on, President Trump signed the HALT Act yesterday, ending fentanyl and categorizing that as a Schedule 1 demeanor. It'll be mandatory 10-year prison sentence for anyone who traffics or sells fentanyl, so that is good news. Obviously, that we saw a massive uptick in that as a result of Biden's wide-open border process. And with that being said, the border is doing phenomenally. Caroline Leavitt highlighted that HSI has declared it is now the most secure border in history. As we know, there were 0 releases for the month of June. This is the second month in a row there have been 0 releases into the country. And then also with that, I thought this number was fascinating, only 6,072 apprehensions in the month of June. Under Joe Biden, we saw over 10,000 apprehensions in one day. So that is a very stark contrast. As we know, HSI and Tom Homan, Chris, have done a phenomenal job on securing our border. And that is certainly something to be celebrated. With that, we have a clip from Caroline Leavitt highlighting more wins pertaining to the arrest of violent illegal aliens. Take a listen.
The border sealed, deportations are ramping up. This past weekend, our brave ICE agents were arresting violent criminal illegal aliens all across the country. ICE Atlanta arrested an illegal alien from Mexico, convicted of attempted rape of a child in North Carolina. ICE Baltimore arrested an illegal alien from Guatemala who was previously convicted for sexual abuse of a minor in Maryland. ICE Houston arrested a criminal illegal alien from Mexico whose previous conviction includes aggravated sexual assault of a child in Texas. ICE Salt Lake City arrested a 32-year-old illegal criminal alien from Mexico who was previously convicted for child abuse and injury. ICE Baltimore arrested a criminal illegal alien from El Salvador convicted in Maryland for possession of child pornography. And ICE San Antonio arrested a criminal illegal alien from Mexico convicted of aggravated sexual assault in Texas. The men and women of ICE are heroes. They are putting their lives on the line every day to get the worst of the worst, these types of criminals, out of our communities and out of our country. And the president continues to strongly have the backs of all ICE agents who are doing their jobs to keep all of us, including everyone in this room, safe.
So that is wonderful to hear. ICE continuing to do a fantastic job at apprehending the most violent, worst criminals that were very unfortunately led into the country under the Biden regime. It seems like they're cleaning house nicely and will continue to do so, so that's great. Of course, another hot topic discussed today in the press briefing was, of course, the ongoing Epstein Files saga. Let's take a listen to the latest from Caroline Levitt on this.
Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. There's been a lot of discussion about the Epstein Files and the president's comments yesterday calling it a hoax. Can you clarify which part of the Epstein hoax is the hoax part?
The president is referring to the fact that Democrats have now seized on this as if they ever wanted transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, which is an asinine suggestion for any Democrat to make. The Democrats had control of this building, the White House, for 4 years, and they didn't do a dang thing when it came to transparency in regards to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous crimes. It was this president who directed the Department of Justice and the Attorney General to do an exhaustive review of all files related to Jeffrey Epstein, which they did. The Attorney General and the FBI, led by Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, these are great patriots, some of the most trusted voices in the Republican Party movement. It's part of the reason the president appointed them to these high law enforcement positions, and they spent many months going through all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein, and they concluded what they found in that memo, which they drafted and they released. And so the president has been transparent. He has followed through on his promises to the American people, but he doesn't like to see Democrats and the mainstream media covering this like it's the biggest story that the American people care about.
So I think this was pretty reassuring, though I know much of MAGA is still very upset about the fact that, criminals and pedophiles are largely still likely running free, but she does raise a good point, and that is the fact that the Democrats have had the opportunity to expose these Epstein files if they so wished for many, many years. They never cared about it until now, when it's become an issue with Trump and his supporters. Now is the time that they're finally talking about it for the first time really ever, so it certainly does make you wonder there, but it seems that this is the current stance from the White House on this issue. I know it's got a lot of people talking. Like I said, this has been ongoing for a matter of days and almost weeks now. The MAGA base seems pretty upset about it, but I don't know. The question remains, will this continue to be a topic of conversation until we get more information from the DOJ or perhaps the intelligence angle of it, Tulsi Gabbard, perhaps. So we will see what happens there. A follow-up question was asked about the Epstein files pertaining to whether or not a special counsel would be appointed to the case. Let's take a listen to the response there.
Go ahead.
The president said that he floated the idea of a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. Can you confirm that? And has he asked the Attorney General to do this, to appoint a special prosecutor to look it over?
Well, the idea was floated from someone in the media to the president. The president would not recommend a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. That's how he feels. And as for his discussions with the Attorney General, I'm not sure.
So I guess no special counsel there. So I don't know. The question remains, how will MAGA feel about this? The latest updates pertaining to the Epstein files from the White House today. Last bit of news I wanted to share with you, Vanessa. It was, I guess, reported that the president had some swelling and mild bruising on his hands, some swelling in his legs. Caroline Levitt did make it a point to address this during the briefing today. It's funny because, all of these mainstream media fake news reporters seem to hate Trump so much, yet they study like every facet of his body. Oh my gosh, his leg looks a little swollen. Well, yeah, it turns out he did have a very thorough medical review from the White House medical staff here. They're reporting now that he has chronic venous insufficiency, no evidence of deep vein thrombosis, which I actually know much about, as I just had a very similar issue myself. I had to have this large varicose vein removed from my leg. It's really not a big deal. It does cause some swelling and, some pain from time to time. The best thing to do is just get it taken out, and that's just what I did. So if President Trump needs any medical advice, he can feel free to ask me on that. But it's definitely not the big story that the media was attempting to make it out to be. So good news there. Vanessa?
Right. I was watching live, Allison, whenever Caroline Levitt came out with his doctor's report, and so I think a lot of America held their breath while she was reading that. And so good news, still healthy, still going strong, and we can see that every single day.
Absolutely.
All right, Allison, thanks so much for that report, and we'll see you tomorrow. Now to a story of heartbreak and fight. A mother losing her son to fentanyl, hitting her knees in pain, and then pulling herself back up to fight against this deadly drug. Ann Fundner is here with her story today. After you saw just yesterday, she spoke inside the White House talking to parents about this act, the HALT Fentanyl Act that President Trump signed into law. And so good to see you.
It's great to see you.
We'll get to yesterday's bill signing in just a moment, but first I want to bring everyone back to 2022. That's the night you lost your son. I was with you that night. We were at CPAC. President Trump had just taken the stage. We went our separate ways for the evening and went back to our rooms. And that's when you received this heartbreaking phone call that is every mother's worst nightmare. Can you put into words your feelings that night?
No, it's really, you know, there's no words for what happens when you wake up in the morning to find out that your son died. You're blindsided. It was never going to happen in our house. We did everything right. He had a great life. We provided every sort of tool that you could ever need to be successful. He had all the love of his parents, involvement of parents. I was so involved. We were both involved. Family dinners, sports, private schools, church, everything to have success, only to wake up to the situation of peer pressure and a brand new school where he just wanted to have a certain crowd to fit in. And I woke up that morning at CPAC where he was supposed to be with me. Last minute he decided to stay home because his grandma was visiting. And there's just no words. There's no words. It's devastating. I hope no parent ever has to go through has to go through what I've been through, which is why that's why what I do is so important, because I remember sitting on my couch going, I never want another parent to go through this.
Horrible pain, horrible tragedy, just a nightmare. You weren't home either, so you had to catch the first flight out. And then after you buried your son and then came to, you began fighting. You spoke at the RNC just last year. You're an advocate for stopping drugs from pouring into our country. And then on election night, I was just sitting next to you at a table at President Trump's watch party in Palm Beach, and we were watching the results come in. It was just you and I sitting at a table together. And when President Trump was declared the winner, my arms went up, my mouth dropped, I celebrated, but then I looked over at you and just hunched down because you had tears coming through your eyes, and I immediately hugged you because I knew at that time, you knew that our border would be closed. And you couldn't help but cry that all this fighting that MAGA did and that you as a parent did was finally successful. So take us back to election night. What was going through your mind?
I knew that he was going to win. Election night just secured that knowledge. I felt like God had intentionally made President Trump dodge a bullet, literally, in Butler, Pennsylvania. And if he could tilt President Trump's head to the perfect angle to dodge that bullet, God had a plan for him. I also knew that God had a plan for my son, as hard as that was, to recognize that my son was going to be saving lives. I had never had a doubt that he was going to lose. I did fear, which is not of this world, it is not from God. I did fear that the Democrats would cheat again, but I had faith that he was going to win. So it was a sigh of relief that all the feelings that I had and what we all knew, that God had his hand on America and God had his hand on President Trump, all came to fruition right then and there. And there were tears of joy and relief and just that we knew that we would finally have a president that would be fighting for America. It was amazing. And after losing my child, knowing that we would have a president who would be fighting for America meant everything. And I'm so glad that I could be there with you. It was, you know, it was full circle. We were at the RNC together, and then we were there on that historic night.
You know, we'll never forget Sweet Weston, who did everything right, like you mentioned, and, you know, that peer pressure, and that's such a warning for parents. You know, and a lot of kids are starting to go off to college now. They'll be freshmen moving into dorms. What is your message to parents? Because they really need to sit down and have this conversation with their kids before school starts back up.
So I had spoken to my son several times about never do drugs, never touch anything that someone gives you. If it doesn't, you know, come straight from a pharmacist or a doctor, don't ever try anything unless mom gives it to you. And he knew better, but he was prone to peer pressure in social situations. And sometimes when you see your friends doing something, it makes you feel a little comfortable. At the end of the day, you can prepare them as much as you can prepare them. And they're going to, you know, have to face some decisions when you're not around, and you just pray that they'll make the right decision. I think that my son, seeing that it looked like a Percocet, it had all the markings on it. His doctor had asked me in the past if he would like a Percocet for his hurt hand about 2 weeks earlier. I said no, but he had heard the word, that he thought he could get away with it. These pills look real. It's important to talk to your kids about not caving to social pressure, but also to not trust your friends', you know, medicines. You never know where they're coming from. They look identical. You could not tell the difference if you put them side by side, which one was which. And so, and on top of that all, you know, even marijuana is now being laced with fentanyl. Everything is being laced with fentanyl. You can't, you know, especially kids that go to college and they're presented with all of these party drugs and, you know, social situations. It's really important that parents talk to their kids and prepare them for them to be on their own for the first time. So please have those conversations with them. And for the ones with younger kids, teach them about peer pressure and how to say no.
Absolutely. Good advice there. Now, let's talk about yesterday. You were invited to the White House. How did it feel to have President Trump sign the Halt Fentanyl Act with you standing by his side?
You know, it was amazing. It's always amazing to be in his presence. It's an honor to be chosen to speak on behalf of the largest community of people who are dying in America. Over the last 4 years, we've lost hundreds of thousands of people. It's become the #1 killer of people now 15 to 48. It used to be 18 to 45. Last year that changed under the Biden administration, ignoring everything that happens at the border. So for President Trump, for me to be able to stand by his side again, it just meant the world. It was 1 year to the day that I had delivered that speech from the RNC to the Halt Fentanyl Act. So it also just seems like God has his hand on things. And for whatever reason, he's chosen my son to deliver that message, which I am so grateful for, because it really helps with healing and making me feel like my son, his life did have a purpose at such a young age to be taken by God. Because as a parent, it's so hard to make sense of. So I'm so grateful that President Trump has gifted me the blessing of standing up there next to him, the President of the United States and of the free world, to stand there and deliver that speech of thanks for putting this very important act through.
And for the Angel Moms, I know you've all formed a special bond, and you can rely on each other, cry on each other's shoulders. For any mother out there who may be, you know, under her blanket right now, trying to face the day to get by after losing a child, any words to them that you have a whole network of people who are ready to open their arms and welcome them in? So how can people get involved as well?
Yes, well, you know, to those moms, every day is a new step. If you put your feet on the ground that day, then they've done something monumental. If you've gotten up and been able to sip some water, it's monumental that day. But if you're at that point where you're wanting to speak to the community, I'm with Lost Voices of Fentanyl. It's an online community on Facebook that is there for support, and it is also advocacy. Fentanyl Fathers is an amazing organization, community of parents. They've started the Angel Army, and that's going to be a big organization coming up. Right now they've joined with Victoria's Voice, and all these organizations, Victoria's Voice and Fentanyl Fathers and Angel Armies was there yesterday. We had a lot of people from Lost Voices of Fentanyl. There's so many resources on Facebook. Those are some that I personally recommend that I know will wrap their loving arms around you and help you through this, because there is no timeline with losing a child for grief. There's no timeline for healing, and everybody has their own journey, but we're all there together.
And I know that you have kids at home, other kids at home that you need to get home to. You're leaving D.C. right now after that wonderful day yesterday with that bill signing. And I know that you'll continue to fight every single day in memory of your son and also others who have fallen victim to this heinous drug. And you're an angel on earth. You're inspiration. You give us all the mothers hope out there. So thank you for everything you do and for telling your story with us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Thank you, and have a safe trip home. And someone else who is no stranger to open borders during Biden's years and helping the president shut down the border is Sheriff Richard Mack. He will be joining us here any minute now to tell his story about how far we've come. Oh, you're here. Good to see you, Sheriff Mack. How are you doing?
Hi, Vanessa. Yeah, I'm here.
What a sad story that you just heard. I'm sure this is a story you hear often because drugs were pouring into our country for years and landing in the hands of our kids. We just spoke to an angel mom who was there yesterday when President Trump signed the HALT Fentanyl Act. We're looking at video now, Sheriff, of the open borders during the Biden administration. People just walking across to the United States like no big deal. That has all changed. So looking at the border during Biden's years, coming in by the droves, it's a different scene down there right now. What can you tell us?
Well, it's the greatest success for a president, the first 90 days of his presidency in the history of our country, because this was caused by his predecessor. This is absolutely an outrage. Where the President of the United States is committing acts of treason, and I don't care what party anybody is, this was an act of treason. That President Biden was not only allowing or facilitating, but helping bringing the cartels from Latin America throughout the entire 15, 16 countries of Latin America, and allowing them in here, helping them get in here, making sure that they were allowed to set up shop, and the human traffickers and the cartels were all here doing anything they wanted because of our open border policy, all because the Democrats wanted to add millions of illegal aliens to the voter rolls. And they did this for their own political selfishness. And it was treason. It was the most heinous crimes ever committed by our corrupt public officials in Washington, D.C., because Biden wasn't the only one. We know that he was not able to carry this out on his own. He was not capable, physically and mentally capable to do this by himself. So, of course, his son helped and his wife helped and his staff helped. And the Democrat Party all went along with it. And of course, now they want more. Can you believe this? They are saying now they want to fight deportation and taking these criminals. And we're talking about some of the worst criminals in the world, the international terrorist groups from the Middle East who also infiltrated America because of the policies and actions of our so-called leaders in Washington, D.C. And President Trump takes charge, gets in there, and reduces the influx of these criminals and murderers and rapists and human traffickers and drug dealers. And fentanyl came into our country at an exponential rate. And look at the hundreds of thousands that were being killed every year. And the Democrats still have the audacity to say, we want to keep those people here. We do not want to deport anyone. That's just, anyway, I served as an undercover agent, undercover narcotics agent. In my 20-year career, I spent 1 year as an undercover narcotics agent. No one on the face of this planet hates drug abuse more than I do. The children I saw, my own children that have had problems, relatives, and everyone else, there is absolutely nothing worse than someone giving up their humanity for this addiction. And it is horrible. And I pray to God that He will help us get rid of this plague that has so saturated our society and our schools and our communities.
Right. And, you know, when you listen to Ann's story just prior before you came in, Sheriff.
And she really touched my heart, by the way. Yes.
It's a very sad story. They all are. And they are all mothers who are trying to figure out how to go about each day. They've had that conversation with their kids. But as you know, when you get into high school and when you get into college, there's all this peer pressure. And the pills sometimes look exactly like the pills that they still shouldn't be taking, but would do not a fatal harm to them. And so he took one, his friend took the other, friend survived. The pill he took that looked exactly like the other was fentanyl. And so I just don't see the Democrats, we can talk about this over and over again, how they think that this is okay just for votes. These mothers are pleading to please stop this. And so praise God, President Trump is in office to shut that border down, and hopefully we'll get a handle on what's going on down there with the drugs coming into our country. They are targeting our children.
Yeah, I saw the lookalike drugs a lot during my career, especially when I was undercover. And I mean, I was totally undercover. I had the beard and long hair and a different identity. I wasn't allowed to go home very often. I was not allowed to be seen with my children or my wife in public anywhere. And it was like being in prison inside my own job. And man, was I grateful when it got over. But I learned a lot. And lookalike drugs have always been a problem. And it certainly is today. And we as police had to be careful what we put in our hands, what we touch, because some of those lookalike drugs were actually worse than we thought. And they could be absorbed through the skin. And so this problem, I guess it's never going away. But I think in law enforcement and throughout governments, we need to be more honest with the public and realize that what we've been doing has not worked, especially when you have government that's helping bring this problem to our children and to our communities. And I think we need to get a lot tougher about all of this. And we need to look at some new strategies, because I think the drug war is the epitome of Einstein's definition of insanity. Because we just keep doing the same thing over and over, and it's not working.
Well, you know, staying on the topic after hearing Ann's story, I try to still think that I'm hip and younger, Sheriff. And so the saying for these younger kids is YOLO, you only live once. And so they go out there and they'll say, you know, I'm out for the night, I'm with my friends, you only live once, let's have a great time tonight. And they're just not thinking straight. So just put that YOLO saying aside and think with your head, and try not to, do just stupid things to fit in, because you'll lose your life. And so we just can't hammer that hard enough, because these drug dealers are targeting the areas where schools are, college campuses. There are people, Sheriff, as you know, who are the drug dealers specifically assigned for these cities where big college campuses are located.
Yeah, it's also living proof that if Biden was saying that Congress needs to fix the problem, that was a lie and a ruse. Obviously, they didn't pass any new laws for Trump and his administration to enforce the laws there. There was always laws at the border that Biden could have enforced, but they chose not to, and they have created this huge monster that is now biting the United States on the butt. And this is the outrage that all Americans, especially the voters in this country, should make sure that they aim their ire and blame in the right direction. And it really is the Democrat Party. I'm not a big party guy. I was a Democrat once, and I really don't care about party politics. I care about the rule of law, and I care about the Constitution, and I care about people. And the Democrats keep saying they do, but that's the big lie of it all. And all they care about is winning. They do not care about people. They do not care about this beautiful Ann Fundner and her family and her son that died. They just care about power and Democrats. And this has got the political division and divisiveness in our country has got to stop, and we've got to focus on getting problems solved. And this is one of the biggest ones we've ever had. And I certainly hope that President Trump and Mike Johnson now focus on defunding Planned Parenthood and abolishing the IRS. And Trump's been wondering if he can fire Jerome Powell. Don't just fire Jerome Powell, Mr. President. Abolish the Federal Reserve and get this unconstitutional, unlawful organization of international banksters out of our society, and get the UN out of America and get us out of the UN. There's some major problems that we still need to conquer, but I'm here today to honor Ann Fundner and our president, who has done such a great job at the border. No one thought that he'd have that border under control this soon. So thanks to him and Tom Homan and Kristi Noem and everyone who's been fighting to bring some security and safety back to America. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, thank you, because I sleep a lot better at night. We've been looking at video, Sheriff of California, the farm raid there. What a bust that was. What can you tell us about that raid? These people are attacking our ICE agents.
Yeah, and can anybody really be surprised? It is California, and it's really sad that leadership there doesn't take this problem seriously. I mean, can you believe that we actually have children working on that marijuana farm? And I don't care that they've legalized marijuana. What I care about is the syndicate still working there on this farm and using child labor, and that we're not monitoring or watching any of this, and we're just letting it go. And so, you know, I really detest, loathe, hate the drug problem that we have in America. We're the freest country in the world, and we're the most drug addicted nation in the world. We only have 4% of the world's population, but we use 60% of the illicit drugs in the world. And so we're literally funding the people of this country who use these drugs and bring them in here, are literally funding these cartels and others that are making living by drug proliferation and drug trafficking. It's an absolute shame that we've allowed ourselves to come this far. And yes, I would love to be part of the committee to sit down with the president and other people in law enforcement across this country and say, let's really do something about this. They first thought it would be, oh, we'll send FBI and DEA down to Latin America and have them attack the problem where it was. And then we found out the DEA agents were having sex parties with the cartels, and that all came to a head in 2015, 2016. And it's still the biggest problem we have with all of this is government corruption. And California is another example of that.
It's just so sickening to even think about the corruption in so many different levels, so many different areas within our government.
Yep.
It's just, you know, thank God for President Trump. But your association has had his back the entire time, the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. You've helped with these deportations. What can you say about that?
Well, I was happy to talk with Tom Homan about that. And I said, look, Tom, what do you want me to do? I can let all of our sheriffs know on our list to help you. And he said, great, thank you so much. And I said, if I hear from any other sheriffs, I'll forward them to you immediately. He said, thanks. But I really think the sheriffs need to step up more. The sheriffs in Florida have done that. All 67 sheriffs in Florida got together with Governor DeSantis and made a pact. And they all signed off on it to support this in Florida to help Tom Homan and ICE and the federal government and President Trump to help them with deportation. But not enough have done that across the country. Follow the example of the Florida sheriffs. The rest of the sheriffs need to get more involved. Sheriffs are kind of a little bit of a timid group sometimes, and they need to make sure that they get after this because, one, these cartels and these human traffickers and these murderers and rapists have all infiltrated their states and their counties. And that's why we're going to have to step up and get rid of this element. Quit playing to the crazy leftist Democrats who want to keep this problem here. Don't worry about them. The people will support you in the next election when they see your courage to get involved and help the federal government stop this horrible problem. Tom Homan is doing a good job, and he's a good man. And we're here to help him and still back him. He knows that we're with him, but we need more sheriffs stepping up.
You're right. Zero tolerance. That's what we voted for in a landslide. So that's what we hope for, not just the president, but the administration, all the states. Like you mentioned, counties across the country step up and get rid of these illegal aliens and the men and women who are going up against our law enforcement officers and attacking them as well. How can we get involved?
Commercial?
Yes, go ahead. I was about to ask you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, this is our CSPOA posse badge. It's just like any other badge that law enforcement carries. And this is for $750 donation. We'll pay the shipping. We'll get this off to you right away. And for $750 donated at cspoa.org, this gets you a membership and the wallet and badge. And man, these are authentic. This is just like I used to carry when I was a cop and sheriff. So folks, help us help you. Join the CSPOA at cspoa.org. Everybody can join our posse, become a member, $750 donation, and you get this and a membership all free, and I'll send it out to you. Well, my wife will, or our shipping and handling department. But folks, this really is a peaceful and effective solution that we don't have very many of. We need to get more sheriffs involved. That's what we're doing. We're helping America. We're helping Tom Homan. There we are. Go right there, folks, and become a part of this most effective and peaceful solution that we have left in America.
And just a disclaimer, what does that badge get you? You're not actually a law enforcement officer. Some people think, you know, God love them, sheriff, that they'll have this badge and that they can automatically become a law enforcement officer. What does that badge help you with? No,
of course not. What this does is you're a member of the CSPOA posse. It says it right on the badge. Keep your wallet handy, and keep your driver's license in if you get stopped. Let the police officer see it. We want him to know about us. And he asks about the badge. Tell him the truth. I'm part of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, CSPOA, and I belong to their posse. And explain it to him. Say, we'd hope that you and all peace officers become members and become a part of this to uphold and defend the Constitution and protect civil rights of all the people in this country. Good. Gives you a good opportunity to explain what it is.
CSPOA.com. Everyone go. Make sure you .org, and then put in your information, $750 for that beautiful badge, and then also a membership and free shipping as well. Sheriff Mack, always so good to see you. Love that. It looks really good. Vanessa. I like it. Yeah, so good to see you, and we'll see you back here soon. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, and we're still behind Mike and all the work he's doing, and I hope to see him soon. We're going to have another event where we want him to come speak.
Absolutely. Keep us posted. Thank you, Sheriff. And more to come here on Spin Room when we come back. It sounded like a broken record. Jill Biden's former aide answers no questions
Mr. Bernal,
about the
did you
former
ever
president's
advise
health.
President...
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant.
Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of health care in this country, and boy, that's that's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off, site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast, straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com Lindell, promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
A top aide to former First Lady Jill Biden is refusing to answer questions under oath, invoking the Fifth Amendment during a closed-door session with lawmakers. Sound familiar? Joe Biden's doctor did the same thing weeks ago. No one wants to answer on if Joe was competent to serve as president or into alleged misconduct. So we're all just going to plead the Fifth. Take a listen.
I'm going to go off the record real quick. Okay, we'll go back on the record. Mr. Bernal, was President Joe Biden fit to exercise the duties of the president?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Bernal has invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Mr. Bernal, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Well, critics say the silence raises red flags. Supporters argue it's a constitutional right. Well, that's true, but if you have nothing to hide, why aren't you talking? When you're telling the truth, you can bring the receipts and the documentation, but instead, crickets. No one is talking. Trending online right now, Dana White giving us inside details on what a UFC fight would look like at the White House. It has the internet buzzing. He went on a podcast and said he didn't even know President Trump was going to announce it, but as soon as he did, they started planning. Here's more.
So I'm up at my house like every year in Maine at 4th of July, and I had texted with him 3 or 4 times that day, and he never told me he was announcing it. And then all of a sudden, my phone just starts blowing up, and then I start blowing Lene up, and we're all going. But we had already done, all the logistics. My team went out there and walked it. We're putting together the renderings. They should be done in the next 10 days. And then we're going to fly out to the White House and present it to him, see what he likes and what he doesn't like, and start working on it. And Ivanka is in the middle of this too. So we will, this is a Sphere, one of one unique event that will never happen again. And I will blow the doors off this thing. I'm going to make this one of the greatest events of all time.
And are you thinking a full card, like full prelims, full main card, or just like a couple fights?
Nope. It'll be a full card, and it will be the best card we've ever done to date.
Wow. And we're talking on the lawn of the White House?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as of right now, it's set to be on the South Lawn. He said we can move it over somewhere else for more people. I don't care if 5 people show up to this thing. I want to be on the lawn at the White House.
Right. Yeah. You care more about that than the attendance. If it's a one-off. Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's going to.
Cannot wait. What a night that will be. You can only imagine the star-studded showdown on the grounds of the White House. And even Ivanka, like he mentioned, is involved in the planning. And that's what's trending right now. A reminder to follow us on social media, LindellTV, on all social media accounts, platforms, as well as myself. Just search my name, search for LindellTV as well. We're on Vocal, which is Mike Lindell's social media platform, Truth Social, President Trump's platform. We're on X, Instagram, and YouTube. Both of us are. So make sure you go subscribe today. So again, follow us on social media as we continue to grow LindellTV. And when we come back, parts of Florida drenched, other parts of the Gulf Coast expecting rain as we head into the weekend. We'll have more on this system when we come back. And as we
Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, and cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. And popping ibuprofen is not a solution to the pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is inflammation. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, but not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. Has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. For a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now to get your special offer. Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
Welcome back to Spin Room. I'm Vanessa Broussard. We hope you're all having a great Thursday afternoon. Look at the stock market today. Wall Street closing out great. The Dow up 247 points, the S&P 500 up 32, and NASDAQ up 156 points to close out the day. A powerful tropical system is slamming parts of Florida, that is, sending heavy rain and thunderstorms over Florida. And it's now, as you can see, starting to drift west into Louisiana. This could bring lots of rain from Florida to Louisiana through the end of the week. So if you're on the coast, be careful and be prepared for a wet weekend. Now to Alaska, where a tsunami warning was issued after a powerful undersea earthquake rocked the region. You're looking at pictures there as the sea started coming up off the coast. The water was moving inward. The earthquake measured at 7.3 magnitude and could be felt as far as 600 miles away. Over 20 aftershocks have been recorded, the largest reaching a magnitude of 5.2. That red is all of the areas that were affected. Coastal communities were urged to evacuate to higher ground as emergency crews monitored wave activity. That tsunami warning has been lifted. Good news there, but officials are telling residents to remain on high alert because of those aftershocks. And as we start to close out the show today, we want to bring you our Bible verse of the day. It comes from the book of Genesis. It says this: "Then God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light. So may the light of the world shine on you and bring you light today." So if you're feeling dark, make sure you smile big because the world needs a lot more brightness. And as we end the show, a reminder to support Mike Lindell. You can go to mypillowtrial.com. There's the website right there. We appreciate all of you who have supported Mike in the past. We appreciate you all so very much. But he still needs help as he goes through the appeal process. As you know, MyPillow won big in his trial in Colorado, but they are attacking Mike at a personal level as well. So while the pillow company was safe, they're still trying to silence Mike Lindell. And as you know, Mike Lindell will not be silenced. So you can continue to support him. He has used his own personal funds over the years in this fight. If you remember, taking you back after 2020 election, when he came out and he said that he believed the 2020 election was stolen, he began getting canceled from all of the big box stores, and MyPillow took a hit. So the only people keeping him afloat right now are you, the American people. So please go to mypillowtrial.com and support Mike. Also go to mypillow.com. Good products there, the best. They're all made in the USA. USA products on mystore.com as well. Entrepreneurs from all over the country have products there, handpicked by Mike to be showcased on mystore.com. You can see the MyPillow One article there. Lots of great patriotic gear. You can go buy yourself some shirts, crosses. The My Cross from Mike Lindell is a replica of what he wears around his neck every day. It's such a big hit. People are wanting it. So there's a replica there. The My Cross necklace is a huge hit. Of course, the premium My Pillows are on sale. The summer sheet sale is going on now. I want to mention the next generation of energy drinks because everyone is raving about these drinks. They're good for you. It's called Rev 7. And people love them. So go ahead and buy yours today. Time to make America healthy again. This is part of the MAHA movement. It's not like other energy drinks that leave you feeling jittery. It just gives you that morning boost to get out the door and head to work. So go ahead and give Rev 7 a try as well. And again, all of this is on mypillow.com. MyPillow.com. You can use the code Vanessa for extra savings while you shop. So go ahead and continue to support Mike, and we appreciate all of you who have done so already. And that'll do it for us here today on Spin Room. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Steve Bannon's War Room is next, and you're watching LindellTV.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or